Do you know what? This is actually a great question, and one you're probably not going to be very happy with the answer with. You know, the answer to the question is, what does the best interest of the child mean? And cite one source which defines the meaning. You're not going to find an answer to this, unfortunately. If you read the Children Act, it talks about the best interest of the child, but the simple answer is, what is in the best interest of the child is what the court decides is in the best interest of the child. Courts have a wider ambit of discretion, which means the judge can take into account all the factors and make a decision as he or she sees fit within the framework of that, using things like the welfare checklist and various other parts of the law. But there is no written down definition of what the best interest of the child is. And it makes sense for that to happen, because let's be honest, right, yeah? What is the one thing that we can probably agree with that's the best interest of the child that applies to every single case? You're not going to get an answer to that. Everyone's got different ideas. Look at the 50-50 debate. Some people will say that 50-50 is always in the best interest of the child. Some people say it never is. There's not one thing that we can probably agree on that everyone's going to agree on, that everyone's going to be happy with. And the same goes for when it comes to citing one source which defines the meaning. So when we are helping you, or your solicitor's helping you, we're working on probabilities. If you're of the more scientific minded, there are no guarantees, there are probabilities here. You need to be making things about the child, framing things from the child's point of view, taking into account things like the welfare checklist, whether the court agrees with you that your application of the things you're doing in the best interest of the child is in the best interest of the child, is down to the court. We can probably say that abusing the child is not in their best interests, trying to make the child feel bad is not in the best interests, cutting them off from finances because you're not seeing them is not in the best interest of the child. And I've thrown that last one in because you'll see lots of people will post and say, I'm not paying maintenance if I'm not having contact. There are people out there who would decide that not paying money is a good thing to do, but they will argue against the fact that it's not in the best interest of the child. So no, there's no definition of that. You're going to have to trust me on this. If it was a nice black and white situation, solicitors wouldn't have a job, I wouldn't have a job. What would happen is you'll be able to do a nice tick list, measure things, and come up with an agreement or an order based on that. It's not. Sometimes it's more of an art than a science.